were you offered, you know, beats from outside producers, from a Mustard or from a Kanye, or you know what I mean, or that type of thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different producers that
Timberland, like, you know what I mean,
Swizz. We could have went. I mean, yo, dude, cash is king at the end of the day, and that's kind of what I thought going in. I was like, oh, I'll be able to work with this guy and this guy and this and da da da, and just fucking Def Jam will cut the check and this and that. But then after time, I realized like, I don't want to just cut a check. It's like a feature. Some people think, oh, if you have like. If you have all this money, you just pay some guy. I don't want to do that shit. Like, I didn't pay fucking Big Sean. Like, that's my homie. Somebody else might have to pay Big Sean, just like somebody might have to pay
being on
me.
the same label helps a little bit.
Yeah, but exactly. Like, I met Sean because we worked at the same... No, not even that. We worked at the same studio. Like, I never met Iggy Azalea before. Do you know what I mean? But we're on the same label. So people might think, like, oh, I'm sure he knows this person, or he knows Ross, or this or that. Like, you know, sure, Def Jam is dope. You know, first time I met 2 Chainz, this motherfucker was eating shrimp lobster in... you know, the CEO's office, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, damn, this motherfucker really does ad-libs in real life. This is crazy. He's such a good dude. He's very nice.
No, I'll fuck with 2 Chainz.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, yes, so there's certain elements of Def Jam that can do it, but for me, it's not real. It's not money. I don't like that. I mean, you got to pay for your beats regardless.
Yeah.
But instead of going, oh, I'm going to go to a Timberland, or I'm going to go to this, or I'm going to go to all these people that I love, I don't want to go to them with Def Jam's checkbook open. I want them to go, oh, yo, I fuck with that kid. Like my album comes out, and they're like, whoa. This is crazy. Let's meet up. They're still going to get their money, and I'm still going to get my production, but they're going to give me everything. It's not just going to be some throwaway, fuck that shit. So that's what I learned over time, you know? So when creating this album, sure, there was a lot of people that I could have went to, but I ended up going to my favorites, like my favorite people that I've had a connection with, and there's still so many people that I still want to get with, not even in this genre. You know what I'm saying? So linking up with like a DJ Dahi, you know, I mean, he did Worst Behavior, he did Money Trees, he did My Type of Party, he did like a lot of records that I'm like, man, these are so great. And I reached out and just said, hey, you know, I'd like to work or this or that, blah, blah, blah. He shows up, we shake hands, and even then, maybe this song isn't what I want it to be and this and that. It doesn't make it, but I have that personal relationship, and that'll come over time. But it did. I mean, we made a fucking awesome song for my album. But yes, so in my mind, I mean, it's pretty much me and Six. I did 4 records. Six did a whole bunch of records, and then you have other people who came in as well. But I like to see myself as a Quincy Jones in the sense of I don't have to fucking produce every record. Like when I sit down, like when I created Under Pressure, which is the 9-minute hip hop Bohemian Rhapsody,
right.
I didn't go, yeah, I'm doing everything. Yeah. Like that's how people, I'm getting all this publishing, I'm getting all this money. Fuck, like I was like, man, fuck that. Because once again, it's not about the money. You know what I mean? I could go make, I mean, I've made all, like the money that I made, which is a lot of fucking money, I made before my album ever came out. And it's because of merchandise, and it's because of you know, just being that businessman, going on tour. And so as I said, like that Quincy Jones, I'm not saying I'm fucking Quincy Jones, I'm saying that I look at it in the sense of like, all right, I'm gonna produce this record, I have these crazy ass drums over this crazy ass sample. That in itself is dope. That in itself is hip hop right there. But I want to take it, not necessarily just hip hop and put it in that box. I want to make it extremely musical. Okay, what can I do? All right, I'm gonna go hit up my boy Steve Wyerman, who plays the craziest fucking guitar in the world, and you know, who I met through No ID, and this and that. And I'm gonna have him. He's gonna play this. And he's gonna play bass line. And then let's bring in these string players, and let's bring in this, you know, choir and these backup vocals and this and this and this. And then you make it special. Then you fucking take the sample out. You don't even need the sample anymore because it's so incredible. And so that's how I look at production.